25. Chamishi. And it's medium today. Okay, let's go quick. Okay. Pasuk Lamid, verse 30. Hashem prepared them a banquet and they ate and drank. I'm sorry, not he. He prepared them a banquet and they ate and drank. This is King Avimelech who wanted to make a treaty with Yitzchak. So Yitzchak made them a banquet and they ate and drank. It was under the supervision of Yitzchak's, kosher supervision. Lamed Aleph 31. They got up early, Yitzchak and Avimelech, the next morning, and they made an oath to one another. They made the treaty to not harm each other's descendants. Yitzchak let them go, and they left him in peace. Rashi, Lamed Beis 32. Behold, it was on that day, Yitzchak's servants came to him and told him, they told him that well they had dug, I think the fourth well or something. And they said to him, we have found water. He called it Shiva, sworn treaty. The name of this city is therefore Beersheva, even to this day. So we have here, right? Beersheva was already featured with the place that Avram made an oath. I forgot where we had Beersheva the first time. By Avram. What was going on when he made that oath? It was also the name was not changed, was redesignated. It was upgraded of why it's called the city, the well of oath, not because of the oath that Avram made, which was you have to look up what that was, but now it became redesignated as a place of where Yitzchak made the oath with Avimelech. Okay, Lamed Dalet 34. Next episode was Esav was 40 years old and he married Yehudis, the daughter of Be'eri the Shchiti. Esa Basmas bas Elon Hachiti, and Basmas, the daughter of Elon the Chiti. Lamed Dalet, he was 40 years old when he took these two wives, Yehudis and Basmas. So Rashi comments, Esav is compared to a pig. We see this in Tehillim. King David talks about, or prophesizes that the pig will ravage, the pig from the forest, the wild boar will ravage Israel. I'm guessing that was a prophecy that happened when the Romans were kind of descended from Esav, ravaged Jerusalem. But regardless of what the exact content is, it's talking about Rome, which is Esav, as a pig. Why a pig? The pig, when it lies down, stretches out its split hooves as if to say, see, look, I have split hooves, I'm kosher, as if to say. Similarly, these descendants of Esav, the Romans, rob and extort, yet pretend to be reputable. And it comes from their ancestor Esav. For 40 years, Esav was a very wicked man. Until he was 40, he would abduct wives from their husbands and abuse them. He was a bad guy. Yet, when he was 40 years old, he put out a statement.
Where does this story come from about Esav and abducting wives from their husbands? That's
Bereshis Rabbah, the Medrash. Bereshis Rabbah, page 65. My father, so after living 40 years as this kind of philanderer, he goes, he says, public statement, my father, my righteous father married at 40, I too will marry at 40. As if, he's this family man. Okay. Lamed 35.
Did he do it out of? Did he do it out of evil or just a low intellectual level of thought? Both.
You're saying his abducting wives?
That's pure evil. But
He's getting married at 40?
Marrying at 40, I mean, is this his intellect that's showing itself? It's
Definitely better that he got married than he just, became a abductor. But
the abductor, I don't know how to believe that though. But if it's Rashi's Rabbi, I'll take it I'll take it.
Yeah, but I think the point is that why is he like, on social media? Why is he putting out a statement? Look at me, I'm getting married I'm following in the ways of my father. He got married at 40. Dude, you're nothing like your father. Like, stop, calling attention about your heritage. You're a wicked guy. But he loves to show, look at my noble my noble act. Like, you're not so noble. Like, be quiet. Anyways, Lamed Hey 35. They were rebellious against these wives, Yehudis and Basmas. They were rebellious against Yitzchak, Rivka. Rashi, Meres Ruach, unusual word alert. Rashi tells us means Lashon Hamras Ruach. It's an expression of rebelliousness. As we see, the word Mamrim means rebellious, because everything these wives did, what's the expression? They were 2-bit floozies. Right? Is that that their actions were provoking and causing anguish to Yitzchak and Rivka because they worshipped idols.
Right.
So it wasn't like he got married to monotheistic righteous women. He married wicked women as well. Okay, now we get into the juicy story of this week's parsha, chapter 27, verse 1. The story of the blessings of Jacob and the deception, all that. When Yitzchak was old and his eyesight was failing, he called Esav, his elder son. He said to him, B'ni, my son. And Esav responded, Hineni, I am here, father. Rashi, so it starts with telling us Yitzchak was old and his eyesight was failing. So Rashi points out 3 interpretations of why was his eyesight failing. What does that mean? So first of all, number 1 is Ba'ashan and Shalelu. It's really a continuation about the rebellious wives of Esav, who were idol worshippers, that they would do, which was common, a incense offering to their idols, and the smoke of those women, it blinded him. Meaning Yitzchak was so holy, anybody else didn't get blinded by it. But the spiritual impurity of the incense that these wicked wives of Esav did, it is a spiritual, poison. And someone of Yitzchak's high level holiness, his eyes simply got blind.
Wow.
It's actually a story. It reminds me of a story that I forget exactly, but the 5th Rebbe, that someone was talking Lashon Hara, and he literally went deaf in one ear for that time.
Whoa.
His ear could not tolerate the negative speech in the next room.
Whoa.
So he got deaf for a period of time. So holy people's limbs cannot stomach evil actions. And Yitzchak's eyes.
Yitzi, who is the man? Who is it?
I think it was the Rebbe Rashab.
What, he himself, or he said it about someone else?
He went deaf in one ear.
Oh, the Rebbe Rashab.
Okay. Or negative, or there was talking in the middle of davening, something like that. He literally his ear couldn't deal with it.
Okay.
So Yitzchak is a paradigm of a holy, perfect person. He couldn't deal with the incense and smoke and blind. This wasn't such black clouds, but it was spiritually black. Okay. Another interpretation was when he was bound on the altar and his father wished to slaughter him. At that moment, the heavens opened and the ministering angels saw what was happening and weeping, and their tears dripped and fell upon his eyes. This is actually a positive reason why Yitzchak had bad eyesight, because when he was put on the altar, signifying a very high level of,
Mesiras Nefesh.
Yes, martyrdom to God. The angels cried by this I'm not sure why they were crying because it was good in the end, but the tears the angels were crying, whatever that means, and it blinded him. Okay, moving on. The third reason is eyesight was dim, was only because Yitzchak, God wanted Yaakov to get the blessings, and for whatever reason, Yitzchak favored Esav. He would not give it to Yaakov, so God caused him to go blind, so the story of the deception could go off without a hitch. Okay? Those are the three reasons of Rashi. Moving along. Beis, verse 2. Yitzchak said, Vayemer, Hinena Zakanti. Yitzchak said, look, I have now grown old. He's talking to Esav. Lo yadaiti yemaisi. I do not know the day of my death. Rashi, lo yadaiti yemaisi. I do not know the day of my death. Amar Rabbi Yishum Karcha. Rabbi Yishum Karcha said, why was he all of a sudden worrying about his death? So the answer was he was 123. Okay. And it says in the Medrash, when you get into the ballpark of your parents' age year that they died, you have to worry 5 years before and 5 years after. He said, maybe I will only have a lifespan similar to my mother who died at 127. And I'm 123. I'm within 5 years of her. He said he was in his 123rd year. So he was 122 maybe. Whatever. The point is that he was 5 years before Sarah. Therefore, I do not know the day of my death. Maybe I will only live to my mother's lifespan. His father lived longer, to 175. But you have to worry that maybe you're going to take after that parent. That's why he all of a sudden was worrying about he might die soon. Gimel, verse 3. So Esav, now, sharpen your weapons. Telcha v'kashtecha, your sword and your bow. And go out to the field. And catch some game for me. Rashi, unusual word alert, Rashi. You love that word, don't you? You love that little phrase. Telyecha. Telyecha is an unusual word, but it means your sword. Because why telyecha? Telya comes from the verb of hanging, and the sword hangs by your side. Sana, a term for sharpening, lashon hashchaza. Like it says in the Mishnah, one may not sharpen a knife with a stone in Yom Tov, but one may sharpen it on another knife. You see the word masiya means sharpening. Chaded sakincha ushchoit yafeh shloit hachlin. But the Gemara actually says he was telling him, don't just take your sword and bow and get me a deer. Make sure to sharpen it. This is a prototype to the concept of shchita, of slaughtering. That's to be a very sharp blade to cause no pain to the animal. So it's hinting again, we know the patriarchs kept a certain level of the Torah in a prototype form. So they also kept the law of slaughtering. So he said, sharpen it, that it's a kosher slaughtering.
Wow.
Mitzudali, catch some game for me. Catch some game for me. What is he saying? Catch it from the field where it's ownerless, and don't go to somebody's house and steal it, because he knew Esav might have, got lazy and just, taken a nearby goat. Okay. Daled. 4. Then, once you catch your game, make for me delicacies in a way that I like. And bring it to me so I may eat. Do this so my soul may bless you before I die. It's interesting that he's just really care about like pastrami sandwich, and I want some reason he felt this was a way to give Esav some merit in order to deserve the blessing. I didn't look up all the commentaries in the Talmud Chumash. You can do that if you'd like. But I think it's safe to say that many of the commentaries say Yitzchak was not totally ignorant of Esav's less than perfect behavior. I think he was somewhat aware. The question is the extent of how much he was aware. But I think most commentators he was aware. It would make sense then that he told Esav, look. So then you have a question: why do you want to give Esav the blessing if he knows Esav's unsavory character? Why do you want to give him the blessing and not the righteous son Jacob? We'll talk about that soon. But maybe for whatever reason he wanted to give it to Esav, and maybe that's why he said, "Do this mitzvah." Esav had one mitzvah he was good at, and that was honoring his father. So perhaps Yitzchak said, "Look, do it." He doesn't need a pastrami sandwich. Like, do you really care about the food? Like, I'm only going to bless you if you get me a nice meal. It's very silly. Maybe it was to say, look, Esav, I want to accentuate the good you have. You do honoring your father well. Go do it now, and then I can bless you on the basis of that mitzvah. Okay. Hey, verse 5. Rivka was listening while Yitzchak was speaking to Esav, his son. Esav then went off to the field to catch some game to bring it anyhow.
Are we on Vav or Hey?
Hey. Rivka was listening while Yitzchak was speaking.
Gotcha.
And Esav then went off to the field. So Rivka, I don't know, listening, eavesdrop, I don't know what the word is, but she overheard the conversation. And Esav then went off to do what he was told to do. Rashi's Latsud Tzayid Lahavi. So it's an unusual way of writing it, to catch game, to bring it. So why didn't you say, like, he went to catch game to do what he was just told? Like, of course, to bring it. Why would the Torah?
Where is the kosher slaughter here?
In the end of the second Rashi. The end of the second Rashi of the page, 28.
Okay.
But anyways, what's the extra word lahavi? Because Esav went off to go try to do what his father said and find an ownerless animal, but he had an intention, if he's not going to find it, he'll just go steal it. That's what the extra word lahavi is insinuating. Okay, Vav.
Lahavi means to cause it to come.
To bring. Lahavi means to bring.
And why is it an extra word?
Because you could have understood it without it. That's why it's extra. You didn't need it. If it was not there, you'd still understand the narrative perfectly well. So why does it add that word? So the Rashi.
Well, he was just saying the purpose of getting the game was to bring it to him. It's not an extra.
No, Hey is the third person narrative. After the request of Isaac to Esav then went to go get game to bring, like, obviously to bring. What was he getting the game for? We just heard why he's bringing it, right? So it tells it's an extra word. It could have been well understood without that extra word. So what's the extra word? It must have an extra intention to tell us something. What is that? It's telling us in Esav's mind, it's a window to Esav's mind, that he was going to try to get it from free animals that were ownerless. But if not, lahavi, he would bring it regardless. He would get it. One way or another, he's going to get it. Even if he has to steal it. Okay. Vav. 6.
He was asked to actually to trap it.
Right. Trap it for what? To bring. So why are you telling me to bring? We know the whole purpose was to bring. So why are you telling me to bring? It's just repeating yourself. So it has an extra intention. Okay. Vav, let's go on. Rivka said, to Yaakov, her son, saying the following: Behold, I have very important things to tell you. I heard your father speaking to Esav, your brother, saying, Zion 7. Your father said, bring me game and prepare it for me, that I may eat it. In order that I may bless you with Hashem's approval before my death. End quote of what your father told your brother Esav. Rashi lefnei Hashem, that I may that I bless you before God, literally before God, it means with God's approval, that God should approve what I do. In other words, there's a whole thing, the Sifsei Chachamim, one of the super commentaries in Rashi, says that if you look in the words, Yitzchak did not say Esav, so I may bless you before Hashem. I'll bless you. So why is she adding the word bless you? Because she was very smart, and she understood in the context of what was Yitzchak doing. Yitzchak was trying to give Esav the opportunity to do a mitzvah in a perfect way. And that's why he said, make sure you slaughter it, make sure it's not stolen, because if it's not done in this ethical and kosher way, it's not going to be a good mitzvah, and therefore God won't agree to this blessing. So he didn't say before God, but she understood by all his requirements of how Esav was to do the mitzvah of bringing him food. It was obviously in order that God should acquiesce to Yitzchak's intention. But she was, as we saw, Esav was not going to do it 100%. He would get kosher style meat if he couldn't get kosher meat. It wasn't like trying to do it all. So therefore, that's kind of her reason why she's saying, I have to. We got it. It's not going to be your father's intention. Esav's going to mess it up anyways because he's a bad guy. So therefore, you're justified of being the one to do the ethical kosher way of doing the mitzvah in order to get the blessing. That's what it says in the bottom. Now, my son, listen to me. Listen to my voice. What I command you. Test 9. Go now to the flock. Go to our family, flock in the barn. And take from me there. And take from me there 2 kid goats, 2 choicey kid goats that are mine. Because we'll see why they were hers. And I'll prepare them as delicacies, lavicha, for your father, kasher, like that he likes. Rashi,
if the goats were acceptable, why didn't he just ask Esav to bring him goats?
Let's see, why didn't he just tell him to go bring it from the family farm?
Right, exactly.
My guess is, I don't know for sure. I think a mitzvah, to do a mitzvah in the perfect way, you gotta have investment in it.
You have to have what?
You have to invest yourself. You have to work for it, right? An easy mitzvah is not a perfect mitzvah. A hard-earned mitzvah, you put your.
I wouldn't say that. I think it's the quality of what the mitzvah enhances, not how difficult it is. You have to appreciate the mitzvah first, and then if it's hard, it's hard. If it's not hard, it's not hard.
I have a question. If somebody is a billionaire and they give $100 to charity, and someone is someone who can barely make ends meet, and they give $100 to charity, which one is doing a better mitzvah? Even though they both intend to help do a mitzvah, which one's a better mitzvah? Which is a more wholesome? The more effort is the more mitzvah, I would say. It's not
you would say, but it's not necessarily true. I understand why.
Common sense.
There's you don't know what's in the mind of that billionaire. You don't know what maybe he's saving money for later on, and maybe he's got a bigger mitzvah to do it with different money.
Oh, you
don't know all the details.
So you don't know, but regardless of what you know or you don't know, you're agreeing with me. Essentially, you're saying is
I'm understanding. I'm not agreeing. No. I'm understanding your logic.
You're saying the more investment of self, the more
you take out of yourself, but we don't.
So we don't know. I agree. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know what's.
We don't know. We're inferring. We're inferring
yourself. You know yourself. If you do a mitzvah that you really are investing yourself in, mind, body, soul, versus a mitzvah you have less mind, body, soul. I think we would agree that you're getting closer to God the more you invest yourself in it. That's all I'm saying. Right? So anyways, you're asking why did he tell Esav to do it? Maybe want Esav to invest himself in the mitzvah of kibbud aim, mind, body, soul. Don't just go take a goat from my flock and give it to me. Go show me you want to do it with mind, body, soul. That'd be my guess. Anyways, Rivka said, these are my goats. Why are they her goats? Because in her dowry, was written that she gets to take 2 goats every day from the flock. That was her, her money for herself, for the household.
This is another midrash from where? Rashi's Rabbah?
It doesn't say where it's from. I don't know. Actually, it does. It does say Perkei de Rabbi Eliezer. Another Perkei de Rabbi Eliezer is another set of midrash. Chapter 32. Usually, if you have the question of what I'm saying, just look at the end. It gives the source note of all those midrash. Kasher Ahev, in a way that he likes. 2 kid goats. Was Yitzchak's regular 2 kid goats? That's a lot of meat for an old man. Rather, one he offered. Why 2 kid goats? Rashi says one was offered as a Pesach sacrifice because it was Pesach. As we said, the patriarchs and matriarchs get the prototype mitzvahs in Torah. So they did a sacrifice on that day, and the other Yaakov prepared from that. The second one was more just mundane meat. That's what Yaakov prepared as delicacies. This is from Perkei Eliezer. Do it in a way that he likes. Kitam agdi kitam atzvi. For the taste of a kid goat is similar to that of a deer. Because game really means a wild, undomesticated animal, right? What's a kosher, undomesticated animal? A deer. But apparently goat meat has a similar taste to deer meat. I'm not an expert on either of them, so I can't add again. Okay, Yud Aleph. 11. So Yaakov said to Rivka, his mother, Hein, there's a problem with me impersonating. There's a problem. I'm sorry, I skipped a pasuk. Yud. You will bring it to your father and he'll eat it. And in order that he may bless you, the blessing he intends to give is to you before he dies. Yud Aleph. 11. Yaakov sent to Rivka's mother, Hein, behold, I got an issue with this. Esav, my brother, is hairy, but I am a smooth-skinned man. Rashi says, Ish Sa'ir, a man of hair, means he was Baal Seir, he was a hairy man. Yud Beis Ulai Yumusheni Avi Vayisi Be'inav Kim. Maybe my father will feel me and consider me an imposter.
What they're proposing is to do evil, and the only way I understand.
Let's finish the story, then we can slug it out about the story. Let's first finish the story. Maybe my father will feel me and consider me an imposter. I'll be in his eyes like an imposter. And then he'll realize, he'll get angry, and you will have been. Then I will bring upon myself a curse for loy v'racha and not a blessing. Rashi imusheni, meaning Yitzchak is blind, so he won't see me, but he will maybe feel me, and we have different texture, our bodies. Yimusheni, unusual word. So Rashi tells us means memash v'tzarayim, groping, feeling. Yud Gimel 13. His mother replied to him, Alai kilalos chabni. My son, if you worry about a curse, if all goes wrong, let it go on me. I take the curse upon myself. However, heed my voice, my son, and go and take the goats and do what I say. Yudale 14. He went and took the goats and brought them to his mother. His mother then prepared them as delicacies, in a way his father liked. Yudalid. Tesvav. Rivka then took the cleanest clothes of Esav, her son. The cleanest, the chamudis, yes, it's the cleanest. Chamudis usually means like the most important, the important clothes of Esav that was with her, Babayis in the house. And she fitted them on Yaakov, her younger son. Rashi, Tesvav, HaChamudis. The chamudis, the cleanest, and the kiyos, as English translates as dachasya, clean. Another explanation, so chamudis is another way of saying, it means like very precious. Precious in this case means clean. The other explanation of why these clothes are called chamudis, chamad means covet. Covet. How do you pronounce that word? Covet.
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 Covet. Yeah.
Coveted. They're the most coveted. They were very, very desired. Common means desire. They were very desired, coveted clothes. That why? Because Esav had gotten this from Nimrod. He had coveted these clothes from Nimrod, who was a wicked king. We know about him. And as a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, the Gemara tells us these clothes, the Gemara says in the bottom, Pesachim 54, these are actually clothes with the garments of Adam.
Uh-huh. Wow.
And therefore they absorb the scent of the Garden of Eden. And this garment, Rashi there in the Gemara says this garment had every sort of animal imprinted on it. And it was subsequently, it came down to Nimrod. He inherited them from somebody. Because Nimrod was a powerful hunter. And when he wore this garment, animals were attracted to this animal print garment, some sort of miraculous animal lure to it. And he would trap him. Esav, we know, was a big hunter. And he was very jealous. You know, the Olympic gold medal hunter was Nimrod because he had this garment.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, I want that garment. And he actually killed Nimrod to get it. As a matter of fact, when it talks about Esav came from the field earlier, he was starving and thirsty. It says, Rashi says he was starving and thirsty because he had killed somebody. I don't know if he says there was Nimrod, but I believe that was Nimrod he killed to get those garments.
Wow.
And now you know the rest of the story.
Wow.
Well, those garments were like idols.
Okay,
Boy.
whatever. However you want to say it.
Like idols. He was literally an idol worshiper.
Esav was an idol worshiper.
He was actually an imposter himself. That's
Oh,
what I learned.
now we're getting to the story of how bad Esav was.
Mm-hmm.
But interesting that Rashi says, why did Rivka have these garments? Like, I don't know, like Esav stole them. They're his, right? It was his hunter magic cloak, or whatever it was. Why'd she have them for him? Usually a man entrusts his wives with his clothes and stuff. Why'd he give it to his mother?
He didn't trust his wives.
He didn't trust his wives. He was familiar because they, as we said, they were two-bit floozies in the modern 1930s slang. Mahavdil. That what? They had thieving practices. In addition to being idol worshippers that offered incense to idols, they were also thieves. And he was therefore suspicious of them. So he didn't give it to them. He gave it to his mother. And therefore, Rivka is trying to make Yaakov look like Esav, feel like Esav. Says, okay, wear Esav's cloak.
There's only one justification that I see for all this, and that is because Yaakov was becoming an imposter in order to, it was a retribution for Esav always appearing as an imposter.
Okay, I could live with that. That's good.
It's a slight justification, but it's still, it smells like evil.
Okay. I'm happy your
And this
answer.
is also why some people don't trust Jewish people, is this story.
Right.
But I learned that Esav was an imposter.
There you go.
And trying
Sometimes the Mossad has to do tricks to the evil terrorists. Unfortunately, we don't want to, the ideal way is to be very straightforward. But when you're dealing with evil, who's a lying evil, sometimes you have to out-trick evil.
I hear that.
Tes Zayin. The kid goat skins she fitted. So he put on this cloak, Esav's prized cloak, and the kid goat skins, the skins of the goats that he slaughtered to make meat out of, probably made a nice, I don't know, what would you make out of goat? Would you cure it to pastrami? Yeah, I'm not sure you make. He made a nice goat stew. But the skins of it, she fitted on his hands. In the smooth part of his neck. In other words, she took, a toupee, not a toupee, like fake hair, and put on his neck and his arms.
Arm toupee.
She then put on the delicacies and the bread that she made Biyad Yaakov, in the hand of Yaakov, her son. Yud Ches, 18. Vayavi Lavi Vayemer Yavi. He came to his father and said, my father. Vayemer, and Yitzchak replied, Hineni, I am here. Miyat Bni, who are you, my son? Yud Tes, 19. Vayemer Yaakov Laviv. Yaakov answered his father, Anoich Esav B'cherecha, I am Esav, your firstborn. Asisi kasher dibarte loy, I have made like you've spoken to me. Yates. Kumna, he continues, please rise up. Please sit up, Shiva, and sit up. Achum, and say, eat from my game. That your soul may bless me. Rashi, Yates comments, Yaakov, while he was doing deception, he tried his best to not lie outright. He says, who are you? He says, Anoichi Esav B'cherecha. We talk about this every year. You know the t-shirts? You know, grammar saves lives. Let's eat, comma, grandma. Or take away the comma, let's eat grandma.
Right.
Commas save lives. So
Right.
here we see, depending on how you put commas here, it's going to change the meaning of the verse. Anoichi, long pause. I am who I am, which doesn't mean he's lying. I am. Esav b'cherecha. Esav is your firstborn, biological firstborn. In other words, he tried to make the words could have ambiguous two possible meanings. So
but the conversation between Yaakov and Esav and Yaakov was already out.
Right. But you see that Yaakov's trying his best to mitigate the level of lie. Asisi, I have done. I have done many things at different times as you told me. Meaning, I did many things. I'm not sure what that means. He's trying to mitigate the lie. Let's just see what he says.
It's not really a forthcoming answer when Yaakov has said, who are you?
So here's the way the Kahas Azden edition Chumash is what it says. It is I, Esav, your firstborn. Since the verb to be is not articulated in Hebrew, Yaakov's answer has two meanings. I am Esav, your firstborn, or it is I, Esav is your firstborn. He wanted to be technically not guilty of lying. Continuing to pose as Esav, he said, I've done as you told me. It has two meanings. Either what you thought you told Esav, I did. But he phrased it also, I have done many things you told me to do. It's a two-pronged statement. It's a two meaning statement. I did what you told me, as if he's Esav. Also, I've done all the mitzvahs you told me to do. Okay. Shva, he said sit. Sit is a term for sitting at the table for a meal. And therefore, English translated is tachar, to sit around the table. Chaf, 20. Vayemer Yitzchak el Benoi. Yitzchak said to his father, Mazeh mihartum sebni. My son, how do you manage to find game so quickly? Vayemer said, Ki hikra Hashem elokech levani. I was so lucky because Hashem, your God, arranged me to find the game quickly. Chaf Aleph, 21. Vayemer Yitzchak el Yaakov. Yitzchak is Yaakov. Gesha na be'amushcha b'ni. My son, please come close to me that I may feel you. Ha'ata zeh b'ni Esav imloi. Are you really my son Esav or not? Rashi Geshana Mushcha.
I'm intrigued that he used Elohecha, your God, not saying Elohai.
Probably because he's, my guess, I don't know. Let's see what it says in the Uzdain. Doesn't say anything. My guess is he's playing Esav. Esav was more, he wasn't so into God. So your God.
Your God. Okay, maybe.
So now he's enhancing the misrepresentation.
Esav had his own gods.
Okay.
I mean, but Yitzchak is making things worse by consciously imitating
Oh,
It's
Okay.
the family.
Okay, Chavav 21.
Get him off your back with it.
My son, please come down and feel your ear. So, why was Yitzchak like so suspicious? So it says here, Yitzchak was saying in his thought, in his heart, in his thought bubble, it is not Esav's practice to mention the name of heaven so readily. What does Esav mentioning God all of a sudden? Yet this one's saying that Hashem caused me to find the game quickly. So he was suspicious because of that. Okay, Yaakov slipped in his, in his disguise. He started mentioning God. Esav doesn't mention God. Chabez, Vayigash Yaakov el Yitzchak aviv v'Mishael. Yaakov drew near to Yitzchak his father and said to him, Yaakov, and Yaakov felt him. He said, he exclaimed, this is the voice of Yaakov, but the hands are of Esav. Kol Yaakov, it's the voice and tone of Yaakov. Yaakov speaks in a conciliatory manner. And he says, please arise. He's like, please, father. Esav is a gruff, macho, A-type, Yaakov, Esav is like, get up, father, like more, gruff. So he's
See that later. Right?
going to see it later, right? Chav, Gimel, 23. He did not realize who he was, for Yaakov's hands were hairy like the hands of Esav, his brother, so Yaakov blessed him. He did not realize who he was, for Yaakov's hands were hairy like the hands of Esav, his brother. Okay, Rashi. No, Rashi. Chavdal. Yitzchak said, Ha'atas ebni Esav. You really must be my son Esav. He said, Oni, I am. Chavdal. He replied, I am. He did not say, I am Esav, but he says, I am. Again, double ambiguous words. I am. Chafai. Yitzchak then says, serve me so I may eat from my son's game, or that my soul may bless you. Yaakov served him and he ate. He then brought him wine and he drank. Rashi? No Rashi. Yitzchak's father said to him, please come close and kiss me, my son. He drew near and he kissed Yitzchak. And he smelled the scent of his clothes and he blessed him. See, the scent of my son is like the scent of the fragrance of a field which Hashem has blessed. Rashi, he smelled him. He kissed him and smelled him. Typically, goat hair is very smelly. So why is there a good smell here? Rather, it says the fragrance of the Garden of Eden entered with Yaakov. Because the clothes we said, right?
Wow.
Like the fragrance of a field which Hashem has blessed, to which he has given a good scent, and that is a field of apples. Rashi and Ibn Ezra say tapuch is an apple. Others, Tosfos, say it's an esrog. Just so you know, tapuch is not necessarily an apple. So to our rabbis, the Blessed Mary explained it. Okay.